Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Ray. I go by Sardonisms because I speak 3 languages, English, Spanish, and sarcasm. This video isn't going to be very long, but I did kind of want to talk about it because it is something that I didn't know how important it was to me until I found it. And that is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome rep in 4th Wing. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder, a set of connective tissue disorders. The type that Violet appears to have is the same type that I have, which is hypermobile type. Hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is characterized by extremely flexible joints and by dislocations or subluxations, which are basically mini dislocations. You have very flexible joints because the joints take all of those anatomically correct alignments and positions as guidelines, the same way that the Pirates of the Caribbean consider their laws to be guidelines. If you see me wearing these gloves, this isn't a fashion statement. These are arthritis compression gloves. They keep my wrists from kind of the bones shift out of position, and then I get a lot of pain. The gloves help with that. If you ever were to see me walking around out in public, I usually walk with a cane because having the cane helps keep my knees going in the right direction and not wobbling off to the side. I've seen some criticism of the rep in 4th Wing because Violet doesn't dislocate in circumstances where a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome would. You don't have to have dislocations to have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. You actually don't have to have ever had a dislocation. Subluxations can meet the criteria if they're significant or severe enough, or if they hinder your movement. It's been a few years since I was diagnosed, but the wording on the diagnostic criteria is something like joints shifting out of position in a way that hinders movement or causes pain. Something like that. In my case, while I've never had a dislocation, my shoulder blades can move far more than they should. And what happens is if I bend down and lean forward, my shoulder blade actually shifts in such a way that it locks against my rib cage. If I pick something up, I can't stand up because that locks it in place. The first time this happened, I was terrified. It actually honestly felt like my shoulder blade was going to lever itself into cracking against my ribs. Once I put the item down, I was able to stand up and very consciously rotate my shoulder all the way back. That's not a dislocation, but that is joints moving in a way that they shouldn't, in such a way that it hinders movement and mobility and causes pain. In my case, it also caused a moment of panic. So I wanted to talk about this because for someone like me, who doesn't have frequent dislocations, I have, this is going to sound really weird unless you have chronic illness, and maybe even then, I have imposter syndrome about my own disability. Because I'm not always in pain. My pain doesn't always go up past a 5 or 6 on the 1 to 10 scale. I'm not always unable to walk because my knees feel so swollen or like they're jagged bits of glass instead of patellas. And so I have this feeling like, oh, maybe it's not real. It's not that bad. I'm just making it up. Reading about Violet was so important to me because I had never seen a character who moved like I did. I did martial arts through high school. And in martial arts, if someone tried to put a lock on my arm, I would tell them it was in hard mode. They would not be able to get a lock on my arm because I can bend all the way around. I can just about poke my arm up so that you can see it. That is my right arm going all the way up behind my back, right above the shoulder. It's really hard to put an arm bar on someone who can do that. There's a scene in 4th Wing where Violet is sparring with Jack. Violet's sparring with Jack, and he gets a hold on her. And she says, I subluxate my shoulder to get out of the hold. And I was like, yes! That's what I did! That's what I always used to do! There's another scene where Zayden asks how the hell she gets into her corset. But the way her joints work, she can lace up her own corset. I'm like, yes! I almost gave Fourth Wing an extra star or half star just for the EDS rep. I didn't. I had decided that I really did need to stick with 3.5 stars because I really don't think I ever would have finished it if it wasn't the audiobook. But that rep, I wanted to share something that I'm really happy about. I'm really happy that Rebecca Yarros has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and gave her main character Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm really happy that I saw a character who can lace up her own corset, who can subluxate to get out of an armbar. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which a lot of people don't even know exists. And I didn't know until I read Fourth Wing how much I wished people knew I existed. How much I wanted to see a character who moves like me. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. I'll see you next time. Bye.